I told my son it's his own fault that his stepfamily doesn't like him, but now I'm wondering if I went too far. I, 42F, have 6 kids, 20F, twins, 23F, Mark, 22M, and 18F, twins. When I was a teen, I met my ex-husband, 44M. We quickly started dating and got married super young due to our religion and families. After 11 years of marriage, we left the church and got divorced. Our split was amicable, and I even went to my ex's wedding to his new wife. Mark has always been closest with my husband. To this day, Mark still blames our divorce on me, despite it being explained to him many times as father, and I just weren't happy. My husband married Margaret, 43F, 5 years ago. Margaret has 2 older sons from her previous marriage. So the problem is Mark hated Margaret but liked the idea of having brothers. He was incredibly cruel towards her to the point where I would have to pick him up early from his dad's house because his behavior was so bad. This created a rift between Mark and his step-siblings. One of Margaret's sons is getting married this December. Everyone was invited, including me, except Mark. When Mark was over for dinner last night, he began complaining about how he wasn't invited and couldn't understand why everyone was against him and targeting him. I told Mark honestly that his own poor behavior and actions are the reason his stepfamily doesn't like him, and that he can't blame anyone but himself. Mark stormed out saying I was being an asshole and not supporting him. I feel terrible now. My ex and oldest daughters think I was in the right, that someone needed to put Mark into his place. But my youngest daughter and a few of my friends think I was being too mean and not acting like a good mom. I can't tell if I'm being an ass in this situation. So next story. I cut off my mom after she crashed my first date in 2 years, but now I'm questioning whether I overacted and should give her another chance. So I'm 19F, not the most social person. I've struggled with anxiety for years, and this was going to be my first date since high school. I met a guy through mutual friends. We'd been texting for a couple of weeks, and I finally felt comfortable enough to meet up with him. My mom and I have always had a bit of a rocky relationship. She's super protective to the point where I sometimes feel like I can't breathe. Ever since I was a kid, she's always wanted to know where I am, who I'm with, and what I'm doing, and I get it, she's a mom. But sometimes it's too much, like when she'll text me 10 times in a row if I don't answer within 5 minutes. So I told her about the date, which I now realize was my first mistake. She seemed way too excited about it, kept asking me what I was going to wear, where we were going, etc. She even offered to drop me off, which I politely declined because I'm 19, and I think I can manage getting to a cafe on my own. Thanks. The date was going well. He was really sweet, and we were having a nice time. About 30 minutes in, I noticed someone familiar walking into the cafe. It was my mom. She spotted us, came over, and sat down at our table. I was mortified. She started making small talk with him, asking him where he was from, what his intentions were, basically giving him the 3rd degree right in front of me. I couldn't even look at him, I just wanted to disappear. He was clearly uncomfortable, and after about 10 minutes, he made an excuse to leave. After he left, I freaked out on her, telling her she had no right to show up and ruin my date. Her response? I was just making sure he was good enough for you. You should be grateful I care so much. I haven't spoken to her since, and I feel like I'm suffocating in my own house. My dad says I'm overreacting and should apologize because she just loves me, but I'm so angry I don't know how to move past this. To Ida for cutting her off. Next story. I told my future husband he should invite his stepdad to our wedding, but now he's angry, and I'm wondering if I overstep. So this has some backstory. I am supposed to get married this spring to my fiancé, James. James and his mother don't have the best relationship because she got remarried to his stepdad, Ryan. His mother and his bio dad were on and off again separation, and around when James was 15. Mom said she was done and divorce. Around the same time she was dating Ryan. I know James believes his mother cheated, but I have talked to his other sibling and they don't think so. Really, it was a messy situation where they were on constant breaks and Mom pulled the plug. Anyways, James' bio dad hit the bottles and he passed away before James graduated college. So his mom and Ryan married and he hates Ryan. He blames Ryan for the divorce and how his bio dad handled it. I have personally met Ryan and he is a decent guy. James has confirmed with me that Ryan has only been polite to him. He doesn't have any complaints against the guy besides blaming him for the divorce. He also doesn't cause drama at events, just acts like a normal guest. To the main issue, we sent out invitations for the wedding, and he did not invite his stepdad. If didn't know this at the time the invites went out. He basically told him Mom that while she may be her husband, he is not his family and isn't invited. That it's his event and he can decide who to invite. It didn't go well, to put it bluntly. Invites to Halloween party happened and the invite was just addressed to him. I was not included. We called her up and he asked why I wasn't invited. His mom told us that I may be his future wife. I am not family to her and she gets to decide who to invite for her event. Big fight over the phone. I know his mom is making a point. It's very obvious, and I personally would be pissed to not have my spouse invited to a wedding. I get her point. Not thrilled I got pulled in, but again, I know she is making a point. I told my future husband that he should invite his stepdad, and it is hypocritical to be pissed that I am not invited to a family event when he started this by not inviting Ryan. He set the standards and his mom is following them. He told me it's not the same. I told him it really is, especially when your beef with him is over your mom remarrying. We got into the fight and he called me a jerk. Ida? The next story. I refused to attend my cousin's wedding after she flirted with my husband, and now my family is furious with me. Hey everyone, I need some advice. I, 33F, am having a really hard time with the family situation, and I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I've been married to my husband, 35M, for 5 years. He's seriously the best, my absolute rock. Loyal, loving, honest, all the good stuff. A few months ago, we were at a family gathering, and my cousin Emma, 28F, was there. Growing up, Emma and I were super close, almost like sisters, but something happened that day that I just can't shake. Then later that night, my husband told me Emma had been really inappropriate with him. She was flirting hard, touching his arm, complimenting him way too much, and at one point, she even asked him if he'd ever thought about them together. I was in shock. He immediately shut her down but told me because he didn't want there to be any secrets between us. And I believe him 100%, he's never given me any reason not to. The next day, I confronted Emma about it, and she totally blew it off. She said I was overreacting and that she was just joking around. But I know my husband, and I know when something is off. He wouldn't lie to me about this, and honestly, the way she acted has really shaken me. Since then, I've kept my distance from her, but it hasn't been easy with family events and all. Now, here's the issue: Emma's getting married in a few weeks, and my whole family is so excited. She sent out invites, and of course I got one. But I don't want to go. I can't pretend like everything's fine and sit there watching her get married when she totally disrespected my marriage. So my husband says he's fine with whatever I decide, but I can tell even he feels weird about the idea of going. Here's where it gets complicated. My family doesn't know the full story, and they've been putting a ton of pressure on me to go. My mom keeps saying things like, "It's one day, don't make this a big deal," or "It's family, we have to stick together." Some of my other relatives have been dropping hints that if I don't go, it's going to cause a lot of tension. But honestly, why should I have to sit there and fake a smile when I feel like my cousin betrayed me? I know weddings are a big deal, and I really don't want to cause drama, but at the same time, I feel like I need to stick to my principles here. It's not like I'm trying to punish her, but I don't think I should be forced to go just to keep the peace. So, Ata for refusing to go to my cousin's wedding after she hit on my husband. Or am I being too dramatic about the whole thing? Should I just suck it up and go for the sake of family harmony? I'm really torn. Would love to know what you guys think.